Right now you are watching the 4 to 5 on WFMY News 2. We have entire team coverage out here of this major breaking story out of Winston-Salem. Throughout today, you will notice every one of us out in the field in this team coverage are wearing a mask. That is because doctors say it is potentially dangerous to breathe in the chemicals from that fire. It is also potentially dangerous that that fire, according to the fire chief, could explode at any moment. The fire chief says if that does happen, he believes it would be the biggest explosion from a fire in United States history. Here's what's going on with that fire that's presenting that danger. They've got 600 tons of ammonium nitrate that have to burn off before we're in the clear. They're hoping that happens by Wednesday morning. Right now, drones have captured some smaller explosions already happening in the building, and evacuations are underway for 6,000 people that live within a mile radius. Just so you know, we are exactly 1 mile from the fire right now, and look how big those flames are from a mile away. You can actually see them from 10 miles away over in Kernersville. Man, officials say they don't know what started the fire right now, but they are working with the company who is fully cooperating with the investigation. Now, the Winston-Salem fire chief said that the company was actually inspected back in December and they passed with flying colors. They didn't find a single problem out there. Plus, the State Department of Environmental Quality says the company wasn't even on their radar until last night. That is because the chemicals out there aren't actually considered hazardous materials by the department. That's because they're safe when they're handling them under normal conditions. It is only when there is a big fire or a lot of heat that they become a problem. In fact, the only problems with inspections out here that were found were from a workplace safety issue with OSHA. That was back in 2014. A worker was on the roof doing repairs when he fell to the floor. The company was fined about $9,000, but that's it. No problems out here since then. You know, Weaver is actually one of almost 500 companies that have license with the Department of Agriculture to manufacture fertilization in our state. However, the Department of Agriculture says this is definitely one of the biggest plants. The Weaver fertilization facility has been in Winston-Salem for 80 years now. It first opened for business in January of 1940. Since then, it's employed hundreds of workers over the years. Again, the company says that they are working fully for the investigation and that they are very thankful to the first responders and their fast response out here. Now, WFMY News 2's Jenna Krzina just talked with the Winston-Salem fire chief. Jenna, what'd you learn? We have a breaking development out here at that massive fire at the fertilizer plant in Winston-Salem. The fire chief had told us that the EPA would be on scene testing to make sure that that smoke, the flames, weren't putting dangerous chemicals out into the area. He said they'd expect to arrive by late tonight, but guess what? They just came by right down this street, and the EPA is actually now parked over there with all of the other emergency responders. You can also see all the crews out here covering this. This fire at this point has gained national attention. It is one that could be potentially dangerous if that chemical that's used to make the fertilizer ends up exploding. But right now, the fire chief says things are looking good. However, that chemical is very unpredictable, and he needs to keep watching it closely.
Ben, tell us about your drive to Winston-Salem and what it looks like out there now.
It was so weird. Once I got to Kernersville, you saw this really low cloud in the sky, except it was just a flat cloud like a box shape. The closer and closer you got, you realized that was the smoke from this fire right here. You could see it 10 miles away in Kernersville. I'm standing a mile away right now and you can still see the smoke down there. And the reason that that is so important is because that mile zone is what they're trying to keep clear. They want everyone to be safe in that. And WFMY News 2's Avery Powell has more on what they're doing to keep those folks safe. Let's get started with an update from fire officials. The fire chief took a break from the flames about an hour ago to brief us about what was going on. Here are the three big takeaways there. First off, you have a 1 mile evacuation radius that will remain in place through tomorrow. They talked about decreasing it, but they're going to keep it in place. Second, there is no heat threat to a rail car near the fire containing combustibles, but there is still hundreds of tons of chemicals being burned off right now. Finally, North Hills Elementary will remote learn again tomorrow as firefighters continue to battle the flames. Now, deputies also want people to stop flying drones up in the air to try to get a view of the fire. They say that they need to do that for their own crews, and that's actually hurting the efforts out here. WFI News 2's Jenna Krasina talked with the fire chief. Jenna, what else did you learn?
To 10 days.
A long way for the people in this neighborhood out here. Starting last night, emergency crews actually went door to door encouraging people to evacuate. WFI News 2's Avery Powell talked with some of those folks. What a fright for them, Avery.
Yeah.
Now, the Winston-Salem Fire Department did say they actually came out here back in December to inspect that company. They didn't find a single problem out here. They said that it was all well and good. Plus, the State Department of Health and Environmental Quality says the company, it wasn't even on their radar until last night. That is because the chemicals used in that fertilizer are not considered hazardous. They actually, when you use them normally, have no problems. It is only under extreme heat, like this fire right now, that they can be volatile. And we also know that the only problems we actually found with inspections for that company were from OSHA. Back in 2014, a worker was on the roof doing repairs when he fell down to the floor. The company was fined about $9,000, but that's it. No problems out here since. Now, Weaver is one of almost 500 plants licensed by the Department of Agriculture to manufacture fertilizer across the state of North Carolina. But they are one of the biggest. You might have even used their stuff. It is sold at garden stores nationwide, including like Lowe's. The Weaver Fertilization Facility has been in Winston-Salem for 80 years. It first opened for business in January 1940. Since then, it's employed hundreds of workers over the years. And of course, it is not just their business. There are other businesses in this 1 mile radius that are being impacted too.
Right, Ben. The fire has made operations difficult for a local cab company.
WFOY News 2 Sydney Moore talked to the owner of Classic Cab, who now has to work from home.
The fertilizer plant fire continues burning. The skies of Winston-Salem remain filled with smoke. We've got the latest as crews try getting the situation under control.
He was like, y'all gotta go, we have to go, can y'all come on? I said, how are we supposed to leave? We don't have a car, my grandma, you know.
Thousands have been asked to evacuate their homes, where they are now and what comes next. Plus, the fire spinning plumes of smoke for miles, while city officials say everyone should wear a mask outdoors and some should just stay home. I'm Ben Briscoe. We are digging into this massive fire burning in Winston-Salem. And as the sun goes down tonight, anxieties are actually starting to rise among some firefighters because the wind is shifting out here. We've really seen it with the plume of smoke. At the beginning of today, it was going south, arcing that way, and now it is crooking to the north. You can see it start to change there. That massive fire has caused thousands of people to be asked to evacuate, and crews have worked around the clock to get it under control and to make sure people stay safe. WFOY News 2's Jenna Krasina talked with the fire chief a little while ago. Jenna, what do we know right now?
Yeah.
Just think about this thing burning for 10 days in the middle of town. You know, we did hear from a Weaver spokesperson today. It's the first time we've heard from the company since the fire started last night. They said they had to make sure all their employees are safe before they wanted to talk. And they say the company will do whatever it takes to fully cooperate with the investigation. People who live in the neighborhood out here started reporting hearing loud bangs and explosions late last night, and crews have now been on the scene for nearly 24 hours straight. We're talking crews from Winston, Greensboro, all over battling this thing. Heavy clouds of smoke and massive flames lit up the night sky yesterday. This is video of crews using a drone to get a bird's eye view of the flames. Right now, officials say no one has been injured. Now, we want to give you a better sense of what it actually looks like. We got this picture from city leaders last night. Everything inside that circle, businesses, homes, everyone who lives there was asked to evacuate the area. And take a look at where this is happening. It's not just Winston-Salem. More specifically, think of a triangle between Wake Forest University, Smith Reynolds Airport, and the Target off University Parkway. The company is right there in the middle of that triangle. You know, you remember back a little while ago, we saw a similar fire like this down in Texas. It's hard to forget the massive fireballs down there. In 2013, an explosion at a fertilizer plant in West Texas killed more than a dozen people. The West Fertilizer Company had 240 tons of ammonium nitrate. That explosion killed 15 people, injured more than 200, and destroyed 150 buildings. For comparison, the plant in Winston-Salem had 60 tons of chemicals in its plant. Now, crews have reported small explosions in the building since the fire started. Again, what makes this fire so unique is what is made at the plant. You've probably seen a bag just like this. I picked it up at Lowe's today. It is fertilizer, and one of the main components of this fertilizer is this ammonium nitrate. And as that burns out here, doctors are saying that could create some health hazards for you. First off, it is colorless and odorless until it ignites, and it's caused by blast at other industrial facilities over the years. It's caused some problems there too. Winston-Salem Fire Chief Trey Mayo says it is very dangerous, and part of the reason he pulled back fire crews and are focusing on evacuations instead.
Flares.
That was a Wake Forest professor talking about the warning signs if you are in the area. If you start to have a shortness of breath or wheezing, watch out. Now, city officials recommend everyone in the area wear a mask when outside. They even go on to say the highest grade mask you can get your hand on is what you want to wear. I will tell you, I wasn't wearing a better mask, an N95 earlier. I had a cloth mask on. Just being out here for about 20 minutes, my eyes started watering, I started sniffling, so I had to switch to that N95. I want to bring in Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley because we're all curious, how far can this smoke blow, Tim?
Yeah, Ben, that's a really good.
And of course, firefighters say all of this could get even worse at a moment's notice, according to those firefighters. They say right now things seem kind of under control. The burning has been pretty stable, but that chemical is very unstable. Take a look as that smoke continues to fill Winston-Salem. It could go on for as long as 10 days. We'll be right here with coverage on the ground to keep you updated.
Let's go ahead and start with WFNY News 2's Ben Briscoe. He is leading our fire coverage. He joins us live out in Winston-Salem from that fire. Ben, how's it looking right now?
Well, not only do we have crews on the ground here, but I'm not sure if you can hear it. Up in the air, they've also sent a helicopter up to try to get a better picture of the fire and how it's looking right now. That is because inside that plant, there are 600 tons of ammonium nitrate. Officials do say if it explodes, the fire chief believes it would be the largest explosion from a fire in United States history. The potential for that explosion runs through tomorrow morning. Drones have already captured smaller explosions happening in the building, and that is why evacuations are underway for 6,000 plus people who live within 1 mile of the plant. The Environmental Protection Agency is also out here on scene. Earlier today, we heard from a spokesperson for the fertilizer plant. He says all the employees are safe. The big question still, what started all of this? Officials do not have a cause at the moment, but no injuries have been reported, luckily. WFNY News 2's Jenna Krasina talked with investigators earlier today. Jenna, what have you learned about this fire so far? And the neighbors out here definitely are concerned. A lot of them have been stopping by, asking us questions about what's going on all day long. There are about 2,500 households in that 1 mile radius, and WFNY News 2's Avery Powell has been looking at what's being done to protect those people tonight. Of course, the safety of everyone out here is the top priority. Then comes the question, who's going to pay for all this? Tanya, what'd you find out?
I found out it is expensive.
And we are a mile away from the fire. You can smell the smoke pretty strong from here. Tim, how far is this going to spread out?
Yeah, Ben, you can certainly see this for several.
So the fire is in that fertilizer plant, but there are other businesses out here being impacted. WFNY News 2's Sydney Moore talked with a Winston-Salem cab company today who said they only have one operator because no one else can work from their office. Even though it has upended their whole world here, a lot of neighbors told me they didn't know much about the company before today. The Winston-Salem fire chief says that company was just inspected back in December, where they passed with flying colors, no problems were found. And the Department of Environmental Quality says that it wasn't even on their radar until last night because the chemicals used to make that fertilizer aren't actually considered hazardous. Under normal circumstances, when they're being handled, they're perfectly okay. It's just when they heat up like this that they put people at risk. In fact, the only problems we could find from inspectors with this company were with OSHA. Back in 2014, a worker was on the roof doing some repairs when he fell to the floor. The company was fined about $9,000, but no problems have been found since then. Now, Weaver is one of about 500 plants listed with the Department of Agriculture to have a license to make fertilizer across the state of North Carolina. But the department says Weaver definitely one of the bigger ones for that. You might have even used their products before. They are sold in garden stores nationwide like Lowe's. Now, here's what we know about the plant where this is actually happening. The Weaver Fertilizer Facility has been in Winston-Salem for 80 years. It first opened for business in January 1940. Since then, it has employed hundreds of workers over the years. And again, the company says they are fully cooperating with investigators and they want to do everything they can to make sure that this fire gets out safely. Back to you guys. Chad, Lauren, right now there is a really eerie feeling out here. You see all the crews stationed outside that 1 mile radius waiting just to see what might happen. They do not know if or when this thing could blow. They're hoping it won't, but they're waiting just in case. And because of that, thousands of homes have already been evacuated, and officials say they will not be reducing that 1 mile radius around the plant. The fire chief said it is still too dangerous to be there. He wants people to take it seriously. There are about 500 tons of ammonium nitrate at the Weaver facility and 100 tons of the substance in a rail cart near the fire. Now, officials say good news. There is no heat threat right now to that rail cart, just that 500 tons originally they were worried about. But if the ammonium nitrate was to ignite, the fire chief believes it has the potential to create the largest explosion this country has ever seen. We'll be out here all night long to keep you safe.